Hey, you guys, I'm back. It's Save Time with Tori. I was actually supposed to drop this earlier this morning, but I ran into a few roadblocks. But I made it today. You guys got lucky. Um, Today's topic is it's been one I've been wanting to touch on for a while. Actually, I might make a second part to this because I'm pretty sure that I've left out a few things because I was, doing I had a whole lot going on. But the baby mama topic is pretty. I've seen some things like everybody has a story about a baby mama. Like, I mean, I'm maybe not everybody, but most people I know got horror stories about how the baby mama's doing this and how the baby mama's wreaking havoc in their lives and how the baby mama want the man back and turning tricks to try to get him to come back home and things like that. So I just decided to touch on it a little bit, just the basics, but it actually goes way more in depth than what I'm gonna cover today. So I'll probably in the future make a video called Baby Mama Part Two. But anyway, this video is called Baby Mama Drama, and let's just get right on into it. The infamous baby mama. You know that chick that just never leaves, like she's always around. It's like she's just you want to keep the past in the past, but for some reason the baby mamas they're not allowed to because they have the children, so they're not like a regular girlfriend, where you can dispose of them once the relationship is over with. If you're dealing with a stand-up guy, he's gonna want to see the child, so you're kind of stuck with her. So my advice to you to be, to be civilized. Don't go over there rolling your eyes and stomping your feet and talking shit, starting fights, and like run up, bitch. Like, no, that ain't what we doing because it's not gonna work. Like all that rah rah, that's not gonna solve nothing. It's just gonna cause more problems. You might as well be nice, because you're gonna have to deal with her. If you're gonna be with this man, you're gonna have to, somehow, some way, maybe not every day, but to some extent, you're gonna have to cross paths with her. So you don't really wanna, set the mood to be too ratchet. Now I'm not saying befriend somebody you don't like, especially if you guys had already had a fight or a disagreement or some type of quarrel in the past. Like, I'm not telling you to be fake. I'm just saying being cordial. Just say least as possible. How you doing? Leave it at that. You don't have to be like, hey girl, what's up? Don't be fake because motherfuckers know like ain't nobody stupid. So just keep it straight to the point, cut and dry, just enough to where nobody can really say that you're, acting funny or doing, something that's out of character. You don't want animosity because you're gonna have to deal with this woman forever. Like, well, I mean, maybe not forever, but like as long as you want this man and want to be in this man's life, she's like a part of the package deal. Unfortunately, you can't like scratch her out. Like, you can avoid her. Like, I would definitely choose to do that, but as far as like trying to cut her all the way off, that's not gonna work. And plus, when you're fighting with the mom, every time you guys get in the same vicinity, you just start mumbling shit under your breath and things like that. The child is gonna notice this. They're gonna pick up on this energy, and then if you're really trying to be with this man and whatnot, you need to get in good with the kids. So if the child sees that you and the mom are beefing, of course the child is going to take the mom's side because that's their mom. That's who they live with, that's who they love, and things like that. You're just a random stranger or whatever. They may or may not like you, but I mean, if you keep fighting with the mom, they're going to start to resent you too. And so, when you and your man is by yourselves without the baby mama, the child's gonna start treating you crazy too because they only repeating what they see from their mother. So if their mother don't like you, then that means they're not fucking with you either. So like, and so now you're having a hard time trying to bond with this child because the mama's on some other shit. So basically, it just and then the dad realizes that the child don't like you, and then it just too much going on. No, don't try to keep him from the kids either. Like, that's definitely gonna lead to some problems because he's not going for that. He's gonna resent you, and he might even leave you. You know what I'm saying? Because no, a real father is not gonna put a woman before his child. Unless he's a deadbeat dad. You know what? Got my handy dandy notebook. That's a whole nother video. Deadbeat dads. But anyway, the point is, if he's not a deadbeat dad, then you know what I'm saying. They're gonna want to be in the child's life, whether or not the baby mama is cooperating or not. So like you can't stop that. If you want to be a part of his life, you want to be a special part of his life, and definitely, if you're trying to be wifey one day, that's not gonna work. And if you already somehow slithered your way into getting the ring already, and you fighting with the baby mama, that could get you eliminated as well. That could, be grounds for divorce if, you playing around with people's kids and shit like that. And then again, well, not then again, but the second point, like, don't try to compete with the baby mama. Don't be like asking questions. You still in love with her? You still want her? And who look better? Like, don't be like doing side by side comparisons and like throwing her name up in every conversation and just trying to get a reaction or a confession out of him, because it's not gonna work. It's just gonna piss him off. It's gonna make the mood like really like awkward and tense, and nobody really wants to be in that type of energy, where you can't even have a conversation without you bringing up stuff like that. So don't try to compete and like just do too much and trying to prove that you're the better choice and things like that. I mean, you can do that without speaking. You don't have to like do any type of grandiose, so big show, run around in skimpy clothes to try to prove like nothing, or like when you guys are around a baby mama, you all extra huggy just trying to prove a point. And like don't be extra, because A, people know, and B, like I said, it makes you look insecure. And then, most men don't really care too much for insecure women because they're insecure. Like, nobody has time to be arguing about other chicks and like just coming home to the nonsense because you're doubting your spot in his life. Now, if you have grounds to, then that's something else. Like, if he's doing some fuck shit, and you know what I'm saying, that's causing you to believe, not just because he's picking up and dropping off his kids, that don't count. Like, you need to have some receipts, some evidence that you feel like something ain't right. But you can't be like, people can tell when you're acting strange, you're not acting like yourself, you're doing too much extra stuff, trying to one up her and things like that. So like, just don't do that. And plus, it puts ideas in his head, like, my current girlfriend is hyping up my baby mama so much. Maybe she is the shit. Maybe she is, the better choice, because you done did so much, and now, he's looking at things from a whole different perspective, because now you're looking like the insecure, nagging, girlfriend, and the baby mama over here minding her own business. Plus, she got the baby, so that kind of gives her a one up on you anyway. I hate to say it, but baby mama's kind of got that edge over because they are providing for the child, so naturally the man is going to respect her. Even if he don't want her, he's still going to respect her to some degree. Well, he should. But we do have them ones out there that ain't hitting on shit. But that's not the point. The point is that like, if you start trying to do too much, he's going to start thinking that the other girl may actually be this and this and that, because you're showing to be something else, because now you feel inferior for whatever reason, and you shouldn't be, unless he's, like I said, doing some stuff he ain't got no business. But even if he is doing some stuff he ain't got no business, at that point, you know what I'm saying, just leave. Don't sit around and try to convince nobody of your worth. Like, no, you they see it, they don't want to see it. They already got their mind made up to what they want to do. So you can like do whatever you want to do. It might work for a little while, but once they sit down and think about it, it's your tricks aren't going to work. But do make sure the pickup and drop off times are like reasonable. Like, ain't nobody doing no pickups and drop offs at midnight. Like that don't even sound right. Like, what the fuck? Unless it's prom or something like that. Like, ain't nobody dropping up no 3-year old baby at 11:59. Like, no, like, do that shit in the daytime unless it's been prearranged earlier or something like that. Unless it's like some type of emergency. Should nobody be doing no transfer of childs at weird hours and stuff like that. That's kind of actually that's actually a red flag. So I actually got a video on that. Go check it out. But anyway, like, I'm not saying be stupid and just let him just do whatever. However, you still need to keep an eye on things, but make sure the time and location makes sense. Like, why would you drop off what I'm saying, a 3-4 year old child at you know some strange location? Like, it might be like a setup they got going on to where they about to sneak and have some stuff going on in the background. So, like, just make sure two and two is equaling four, because a lot of time they use those drop offs and pickups. I'm just going to pick up my kid. I gotta drop them off at cheerleading practice or something like that, and they're really not. That ain't the whole story. So you do gotta watch out for that. But if she still wants him, you're gonna have to monitor the situation. Like, I mean, this kind of goes against what I just said, but it kind of does not. Now, this only applies if the girl, for sure, the girl wants the man back. Like, if you know that she's, pulling out all the stops to try to get this man to, be back with her, then at that point you are authorized to, do a little research, do a little digging, whatnot. At that point, I don't blame you for like checking phones and things like that. Like, because I mean, well, honestly, to be honest with you, it's best to just if you got enough receipts, just go. Like, don't even like fight that battle, because a lot of times the baby mama they either end up winning or they end up being the side chick, and he just cover it up and apologize, but he's still doing the stuff on the back end. So it's kind of hard to compete with these baby mamas, to be honest with you, unless she was just super ratchet. Like, unless the relationship was just like just bad, but they just kind of broke up over something silly, or if he still talks fondly of her and things like that, then there's kind of like a red flag to where that kind of leaves the door open for a possible reconciliation. So if she still wants him, you might want to keep an eye on his situation. But just because she wants him, that doesn't mean he's going back. That doesn't necessarily mean that. I'm not saying every man go back to their baby mama, but a lot of them do. Some of them go back just for the cookies, and some of them go back to try to put their family back together. But you never know which one it is. It really shouldn't be either one of them. Like, I don't care if you're just going back for sex or not. Like, that's not fair to me. I'm not gonna be sharing my man with nobody. And it's just you got to keep an eye on that situation. At that point, you need to be Inspector Gadget. I'm sorry, like, I'm not really the type to like check phones and things like that, but there's certain situations to where you get a pass. I might drop a private video about that on the Patreon. I'm still trying to get that set up. I don't really know what I'm doing right now. The point is that like, a woman that wants her man back will go to any extreme. She will, like I said, like, she'll start dressing scantily. She'll start doing unnecessary like body touching, and like just too much, just overkill. Like, too, what they call it, too close for comfort. That's what they call it. Just start doing extra sitting, like be at the barbecue. She's fixing his plate, stuff like that. He don't like pickles. Bitch, don't you know I know that already? This my man now. Like I don't already figured this out. Like the fuck, like stuff like that, like little petty, like y'all done been in them situations before. You should already know quite a few examples of stuff like that. So if you know she want him, then just make sure he don't want her, and make sure he don't fall for the tricks, because the devil is a lie. But anyway, if she claims she's still sleeping with him, I would, to be honest with you, I might actually believe her. Now, sometimes they do be lying. They just want y'all to break up, and so she can get back with him. They can live happily ever after. But to be honest with you, a lot of times they be telling the truth. Like it be for real. Like I want to say, like 65% of the time, like if she's constantly saying they're still sleeping together, it's probably true. Like I'm not saying break up with your man because of what she said, because people lie every day, but it seems like it's more often than not that this is really happening. So at that point, like I said, you might want to check some phones. Like I really do not like saying that. I don't want to promote people to check phones. I really, really don't. But if you can't catch him the regular way, I mean, there's plenty of ways to do that. I might drop a video on the Patreon about that too. I don't really want to drop it on YouTube because Mm-mm. But anyway, the point is that you get a pass in that situation if she's like constantly telling you, well, he was at my house Friday night, at 6 o'clock. He made me a salmon dinner, and he fucked me on the couch or something like that. And then if you think back, you're like, that same day, I wasn't with him. I was with him in the daytime, but I wasn't with him in the nighttime. In between these hours, he said he was doing X, Y, and Z. But old girl just told me that, she was, folded up like a Auntie Annie's pretzel. So, like, is she telling the truth or not? And then, just use your damn common sense. Like, come on now. Like I said, most of the time when they say that, it's the truth. Especially if he can't account for the hours that he was gone, that she claimed that she had him, like stuff like that. I might also drop a video about what. That's a whole nother video. It's probably gonna be about how to identify cheating clues. Well, maybe that's probably not. I'll reword it, but it's I don't really know how to label it, but I'm really trying to say like what to look out for if your man is cheating type stuff. Like it's gonna be. I think I got a video that's kind of similar to this, but this one I'm gonna go a little bit more into depth about like like when he come home smelling like Badussi and stuff like that. I'm sorry, y'all. Okay, let me get my life together. No, I mean, like that's just an example, but no, there's more. Like little signs and clues, like lipstick on the. I mean, those are like obvious shit. That's just an example, but there are a little bit more trickier ways to figure it out, other than like I said, the normal, hickey on the neck. Obviously, motherfucker, somebody been sucking on the mother. Like, come on now, like that's not a goddamn. If it's the opposite reverse, that's not a damn curling iron on a girl. That's not a damn eczema. That's a motherfucking bullshit. But anyway, the point is that if she's saying they still linking up, I would highly investigate that situation because I done seen some things. But anyway, even if you and a baby mama kind of cordial or cool and ain't really beefing too much, don't get it twisted. She's really not your friend. Like she might be like I said, nice to you because she has to be, but don't start thinking y'all besties and start hanging out and thinking, y'all finna be a spoon coon, because at the end of the day, that's still her, used to be her man. So there's still some feelings there to a certain degree most of the time. So, if y'all having to break up, I wouldn't doubt that she would, try to, get back with him or something like that. At the end of the day, her family and stuff comes first. You don't really, F's about you. So don't, she has her own interests at heart at the end of the day. So just be nice, but don't try to start no BFF like situation, because she probably gonna be creeping with your man behind your back while she telling you, "Oh, I'm over him. I don't, we ain't together no more. I'm past that." They're really not. They're probably not. But just try to bond with the child, because like I said, you're gonna be in a man's life. Just try to, do stuff with him, like take him to the park, get him snacks, and ask him how's their day, and just try to help and be like a support system, just to let them know, hey, I know I'm not your mom, but or your dad or whoever, reverse the roles if you're a man or whatever, but I would like to get to know you, and let's do some things together, and just schedule some bonding activities. It can be all three of y'all, or it can be just you and the child, stuff like that. You get brownie points for you know putting in effort to be in this child's life and stuff like that, and they'll take that into consideration whenever he starts thinking about marriage or whatever, stuff like that. But anyway, there's most definitely going to be a part two to this, because yeah, this is a really big epidemic. It seems like everybody got a baby mama nowadays. It's kind of hard to find somebody that don't. So I just thought I'd cover this topic and try to get some straightening. But anyway, this is Save Time Tori, and I do what? I save you time from the bullshit. Okay, bye.